All right. This is Cruella de Vil. She's a Maine Chihuahua cross, and we're going to show you 3 different ways of how we pregnancy test cows. She's a heifer that we actually artificially inseminated on April the 16th. One of the things is, as you can see, we have her restrained. Appropriate restraint is critical. It makes it a lot easier and the safety for everybody working. So the nice thing about this sheet and stuff we have, there's several different access points where I can get in to check them. I'm going to open up so we can get the best views for you. I'm going to open up the back and this gate, and we'll start out with the first thing we're going to do is we'll do ultrasound. So I'm going to turn the ultrasound on. This is actually what we call a rectal probe. So the rectal probe actually goes in and we'll see part of the uterus. We can actually detect pregnancy like 37 to 45 days is about as accurate as I can get of seeing them that young. And then if they're far along in pregnancy, the ultrasound's really hard because that uterus drops over the pelvis and gets really far in, so it's harder to see the further down we go. So we'll go through the steps. You want to go hold tail? So I'll have my assistant hold the tail, put lube on the rectal probe, and then we can just gently slide it in. Instead of on the next method, you'll see we do the rectal palpation, and we should be able to see stuff on the ultrasound. And if we have a fetus in there, they can even sex fetuses like 90 days to be able to tell if they're male or female. I'm not that good with this thing yet, so anyway. All right, so that would be the first method, and it takes a little bit of time. It's not as quick as rectal palpation, but you can probably detect it earlier, probably a little less traumatic on the cow, so that also helps. All right, before we get her too dirty, we'll go ahead and do our blood testing. Is actually the tail vein is the vein we draw blood for a blood test. It's a 30-minute test that we can actually do in-house. There's a vein that runs right down the middle of the tail, so we just gently stick, and then once, I'm gonna try to do it left-handed so we can actually see the blood go in the tube. There we go. So then we just stick once we hit the vein. Usually I'm doing it from the outside, not directly behind them, but it's just for video purposes. So, and as quick as that, then we have a sample. We make sure we label the sample so we know whose blood we're dealing with. We go through, because sometimes we're doing, you know, 100 tests at a time. So and then our next method, which is the most common method for pregnancy testing, that can be quick and it gives you a real-time answer whether they're pregnant, or we call them open if they're not pregnant. Got to put air in this glove to be able to get it on, especially as humid as it is here. Everything's sweating and sticking. But it gives us a real-time answer, and so will ultrasound. The rectal palpation is usually pretty quick. Sometimes I don't have an assistant hold the tail, but we're trying to get as much view as we can. So we'll actually go in, and then we can feel the ovaries and the uterus and stuff. Like I said, I knew that she is in heat because we saw her the other day, so I can feel the cervix and stuff. She's currently out of heat. We may cycle her again, or we'll either hold her and try to get her on our schedule for getting fair steers. But anyway, so the quick and easy portion of showing 3 different methods for pregnancy testing. The blood test can be done in the same day. It takes about 30 minutes, but it's kind of difficult to do chute side unless they have corrals that they can actually hold them in, and then we can pregnancy test them and then separate them out and part them into different pastures if we want them in different areas. So.
Okay.